Hi, if you don't know who I am you, and everyone else, and everyone is me as well. At least if the theory of open individualism is to be believed. That's right, today we're talking about identity. If you don't know what open individualism is, which I suppose is probably most of you, here's the definition according to Wikipedia. Open individualism is the view and the philosophy of self, according to which there exists only one numerically identical subject, who is everyone at all times. In other words, we are all the same consciousness, or even the same person. Most people find this at the very least counterintuitive, not only because it is at odds with a great many of worldviews, like that of virtually any religion, but nonetheless I think it's a very interesting topic that has a lot of good arguments in its support. But first of all, let's have a look at some of the more commonly held competing theories about identity. The most commonly held view is probably that of closed individualism, even though very few people are actually familiar with this term. Closed individualism suggests that your personal identity is linked to a physical body and lasts for a lifetime. Simply put, you start existing when you are born and you stop existing when you die. And then there's also the theory of empty individualism. Like closed individualism, empty individualists attribute personal identity to a body, but reject the idea that this necessarily lasts for a lifetime. In other words, they believe that changes to the body can qualify you as a different person, or that your existence is a time slice of a physical body. There's no general agreement on how long an identity lasts or how often a body turns into a different person. I think that both empty and closed individualism run into the same problem though. Let's ask ourselves the question, which characteristic differentiates you from other people that wouldn't also differentiate you from a past or future version of yourself? One idea is that it is the atoms that form your body that defines your personality. But the problem is, of course, that your atoms are constantly changing. They're being replaced or renewed. So that would mean that your identity changes several times per second. You wouldn't be the same person as the one who clicked on this video. And in the meantime, thousands of different identities have been squatting in your body. To me, this seems rather silly. Some people try to justify their personal identity with their memories instead. But this runs pretty much into the same problem. Your memories are constantly changing. Some are being lost, some are being added. Were you a different person this morning just because you didn't yet have the memory of clicking on this video? And what if someone had the exact same memories that you have? Would that then be the same identity as you are? Finally, and this is a very common one, many people think that the way everything in their life is interconnected is what makes them themselves. They might throw in words like continuity or causality, because one thing in your life leads to the next one, like getting up, having breakfast, driving to work, etc. But why exactly would this interconnectedness be important? If the end situation is the same, what does it matter how we got there? And why would this interconnectedness be limited to your own body? After all, if I push someone from their bike and they break their arm, am I then that person because their experience of breaking their arm is directly linked to my actions? But all these are arguments against the competing theories of identity. Let me now present to you an argument in favor of open individualism. And for this, I will be using a thought experiment that was suggested by Tom Clark. Imagine we had a patient who consented to a very skilled surgeon performing a slight alteration on their body. Now, this could be something that has to do with their appearance, but it could also be something in their brain that changes their character ever so slightly. In any case, after the operation, they wake up still being recognizable as who they were before the operation. And they would also retain their sensation of being themselves. But what if we went on to perform more and more of these operations on the patient until eventually every single atom in their body has been changed? He would wake up still considering him to be himself. It doesn't matter how much we changed. And this is a fundamental characteristic of consciousness. It is always experienced in the singular, and everyone always has the sensation of being themselves. Nobody ever thinks that they are someone else. But there is no logical contradiction as to why you couldn't be changed into virtually anyone else. Your consciousness isn't any different to mine, nor is it to that of anyone else. And this isn't limited to humans either. Every animal that possesses consciousness makes it into the club. Maybe this would be a good reason to be a bit nicer to each other. Open individualism also sheds a completely different light on the question, what happens to us after we die? If you're interested in that topic, I've got a video for you here. Thanks for watching. My name is Elijah Everett, and I hope you have a nice day.